We thought about you, and when with the Kyler Murray stuff of trying to play two sports, and the size of Kyler Murray as a quarterback. If he asked you for advice on playing football or playing baseball, and I do believe you're going back to the Yankees spring training camp again, but what advice would you give Kyler Murray on which sport to play?
Oh, man, I think everybody's different. I think, first of all, what I would tell him is, first of all, pray about it. I think, second of all, is write out your goals, write out your goals for each sport and see if they align, see if they align for where your destiny wants to take you and what you're passionate about. I think, the third thing I would say is ultimately, where do you see yourself? When it's all said and done, what impact did you make and where did you make it? And I think that he's going to be able to make impact everywhere. I think that he's going to be special no matter what he does. And, and he's a great, great football player. Seems like a great, great, guy from a distance, and, being able to hear about him. And, he's got the pedigree as well. So I think that, the good thing about baseball, you don't get hit as much. The good thing about football, the good thing about football, you have the ball in your hands at every play. And so there's a balance of everything. And if you can find that balance of those two, where you can be special and no matter what happens, I think he'll make the right decision. And I think also too is he may have to play it out. He may have to, try to do both. I always dreamed of playing both and everything else. And playing the quarterback position, if you really want to be great, takes a lot of time and a lot of energy and studying film and everything else. And but he's capable of anything. And what's interesting is really I had a few predecessors before me, and the people that were not the tallest guys in the world. You think about Doug Flutie, you think about Steve Young wasn't the tallest guy. You think about people like Michael Vick. You think about Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees is probably the best example of where where I was in my career in terms of coming out of college. He was kind of the guy that everybody talked about at the time, and really, I think that it's a new age of football in the sense that I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that you don't have to be the tallest guy in the room to be potentially the best guy in the room. And I think that Kyler's one of those guys. I think Kyler's one of those players that can electrify a football field. I think he can also, do the same thing in baseball too. So I think no matter what he decides, he'll do great.
If the Yankees said, we're going to offer you a contract to play, like they're, to try to play two sports, what would you do?
Oh man, I would love to do it. I mean, I wouldn't. I think the Yankees are probably the team that I would definitely really consider doing that for. I think Yankees are the team that I've always, dreamed of playing for. I always dreamed of when I was a young kid. I used to try to turn double plays, imagining that I was Derek Jeter next to me. And so.
Could you balance two sports though, Russ? Could you do both?
I think you have to be in the same city.
Okay.
Especially playing quarterback. I think if you play a different position, it's a little it's a little bit more likely. But playing quarterback, it's a 365-day, thing. For me, every day I wake up, I'm thinking about something. I'm studying something. It's an investment every day in terms of your time and your energy. But I do love playing baseball because for me, when I go to the Yankees, for example, and I'm able to spend time with them, I get to study the game, but also the mind. I'm a big believer in the mind and the process of what it takes to be great. I'm a big believer in one pitch at a time mentality. I think that translates over to football for me. I believe in different arm slots and being able to throw from different angles and different positions to be able to get the ball completed or to be able to make the play or turn a double play or whatever that may be. I'm a big believer in poise, and baseball brings all those things for me. And it also just brings joy. So I'm a huge sports fan. I love football. It's the greatest thing in the world that I'm one of 32 men in the world. I get to do what I get to do. And I also love playing baseball and being out in the field and doing that. But I also love going to basketball games. I love going to whatever it is, any sporting event, anything competitive, I like being around. So, I think the way it would work for me, I'd have to be in like New York and playing football and baseball to do something like that, and Being in Seattle and being in New York, going and doing something like that, it's pretty difficult to do. So I think in today's age, playing quarterback, it's pretty tough to do.
Drew Brees said that nobody can see over defensive linemen. That we get caught up in how tall you are. And I always point out, I want to know if you can play, not look the part. I want to know if you play the part. And Brees said, look, I'm looking for alleys. I'm looking, that's how I throw the football. Here's a guy who's thrown for more yards than anybody in the history of the game. I don't know why we don't listen to that instead of saying, no, he's not 6'4", 6'5", therefore he can't play.
Yeah, Drew's exactly right. I would say the exact same thing. You see through lanes, you anticipate, you study the game, you all this time and investment that you're doing in the offseason, everything you do during season, all the film study, that's where you win games. That's where when the game's on the line, are you great in a 2-minute situation with 2 minutes to go? Do people believe that you can win the game? Are you going to do it? Those are the moments. Those are the moments you have to be great to be a great quarterback. And I think you have to be able to step in the huddle and guys know and also believe that no matter what, we're going to find a way to win. And I think Drew Brees does that, a great example of that. He's one of my favorites. And he's exactly right. I would 100% agree. If you're 6'2", you're not seeing over these offensive linemen. These guys are 6'7". These are big boys. 6'6". So I think it really happens with depth in your drop. I think it happens with great feet. I think it happens by anticipation, being able to study, knowing what the defense is doing too, and where they were, and who, what type of athletes they have, and everything else, and playing with great understanding of the game is critical.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.